One of the ultimate, easy, homemade comfort foods comes in the form of melty cheese, toasted bread, and warm soup. Good enough for company, and easy enough for a Monday night, you really ought to give this tomato soup and grilled cheese a try, and add it to your culinary repertoire. We'll start off by adding 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter to a large pot, and then add 1 very large diced onion, white, yellow, or any kind of your choice, to the party. Gonna sweat that over medium heat for 4 to 5 minutes, adding of course a nice pinch of salt and pepper for seasoning. Once your onion has softened and is turning a little bit translucent, add in 3 minced cloves of garlic and give that a minute or so to cook out. Next up, we'll add 2 28-ounce cans of crushed tomatoes, best quality you can find, to the pot, and 2 cups of chicken stock, chicken broth, bone broth. Again, best quality stuff you can get. It's going to make this soup all the better. Next up, we're going to tear in 2 to 3 tablespoons worth of fresh basil. It's not important how small or large your chunks are. We're going to blend this all up here when it's done. We'll add in 2 tablespoons of white sugar to balance the acidity of the tomatoes. Then we'll bring this up to a simmer and let it cook covered for 20 to 25 minutes. Once that's done, to balance the sweetness, we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, and for a little richness, about 1/2 to 3/4 of a cup of half and half or heavy cream if you're feeling indulgent. Stir all of that to combine, and then we're going to use an immersion blender to get this as smooth and creamy as we want. If you don't have one of these, just carefully ladle this into a blender on your counter and blend until smooth. Once it is lusciously smooth, taste for seasoning, and we can then set this aside and begin to ponder our grilled cheese. When it comes to cheeses for a grilled cheese, you can do American if you're, basic, but I like a few. So I'm going to start off with a sharp cheddar for that tangy, cheddary, cheesy flavor. We want it to be nice and melty, and for that I'm going with Monterey Jack. You could use something like mozzarella as well. And you're definitely going to want the funk and flavor that comes from an aged cheese, so I'm going with some Parmesan here. You could use Pecorino Romano or even go crazy and add a few chunks of blue cheese. These are the 3 I'm going with today. We'll get them all nicely grated. Freshly grated cheese is the best, of course. We'll add a tiny little bit of our Parmesan. It's got a very strong flavor. Next up, we'll lay down a nice layer of our cheddar. You could, of course, mix all of these together if you're making a number of sandwiches. And finally, a layer of our Monterey Jack. Now, no grilled cheese is complete without a heavy dollop of butter. So, we are going to take about 1/2 tablespoon to 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter and add it to a skillet over medium to medium-low heat. We want plenty of time for that cheese to melt before the bread is crusty and golden brown and delicious. I'm adding a lid to help that heat stay in there and melt that cheese. After 4 to 5 minutes on medium to medium-low, we're going to pull that first side out, add even more butter, give that a quick second to melt, and then return our grilled cheese to the pan, the uncharred side down, of course. We'll give that 4 to 5 more minutes, and do make sure to sop up all of that melted butter in the pan. Once it is crispy and golden brown on both sides and the cheese is melted through, we'll pull it out and cut it, as the law requires, of course, from corner to corner. Now prepare yourself for a beautiful cheese pull. Alright, I've got a bowl of our creamy tomato soup, which I will garnish ever so beautifully with a couple of pieces of fresh basil, our cheesy, crispy sandwich, and we'll give this a try. That tomato soup is rich despite only having about 1/2 cup of cream in it. The flavors are nicely balanced thanks to the sugar and balsamic vinegar we added. It's creamy, but it still has a little bit of body and texture to it. And I mean, look, grilled cheese, it's nothing too fancy. Well, it's not fancy at all, but when properly dipped in a homemade tomato soup, it's just one of the best damn bites of food you can have. I hope you'll give it a try soon. Let me know what you think. Subscribe if you haven't already, and definitely get out of here like I'm about to do and go make something delicious.